it talks about God speaking to Moses, commanding him to take the numbers. So this was an initiative of God. God commanding Moses to take the numbers. The numbers, and this, again, it is young men 20 years and above. So why was this first census done? It was done so that, because God was preparing, God is a strategist. He was preparing an army. So he was looking for young, vibrant men that could go for war. Because they are going to possess a land that is occupied by other nations in Canaan. So there were other nations. There were giants. You remember when he was Moses was sending the spies?
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember that
So
story.
there were giants. And so they were not just going to an easy-go-lucky, take the land, but there was going to be war. Now, this census was meant to count men. And we find that there is a census that David did, but it brought calamity. This census is different because David did it out of pride. He wanted to see how huge his army is and how big how big the congregation is leading.
Yes.
But this time, this was not God initiated. Yes. That's why it brought a calamity.
All right.
But this first one, this second one,
the second census.
Yeah, the second census,
Yes.
which was preparing for war.
Yes.
So he was preparing an army. It was a God's strategy. Then we come to the second one, the second census now in Numbers, which is in the book of Numbers chapter 26.
Yes.
Yes, Numbers 26, there was also another census. And this other census was now done because there was some mass death that took place because of rebellion.
Because of the rebellion
Yes.
to God?
To God.
All right.
And many people died, including men who were there by then.
All right.
And many people died. And also you find that during the wilderness experience, there are many who died, except those who were 20 years and below.
And below.
Yes. So they wanted to get a census, and this second census now in Numbers was meant to know the number of people who also will be going now to occupy, because now here they are in, we call the plains of Moab. They're in the plains of Moab, and so they are next to the bank, pale kwenye kingo za Yordani, at the banks of Jordan. So they are seeing Jericho just across there. And this is where you see Moses is exiting and Joshua is coming to take over. Moses sees the promised land, but he's not able to enter. So Joshua will take over and enter into the promised land. So this second census was for them to know, for God to help Moses to be able to know the people that will be ready to go and occupy the land. And also there was the subdivision of the land, so that by tribes, they would be able to enter the land and be given portions of the land in Canaan, the promised land. But we find that among those who are being numbered, the house or the family of Levi, which was the priesthood, was not counted among those 20 years and above. No, the Levitical, the priests were not counted to go for war. But the others were.
There's a reason for that.
There's a reason for that.
We will be talking about that in a short while. But let me just ask you a very quick question.
Yes.
Because I want us to then we can see if God will give us time.
Yes.
To indulge into those kind of a little bit of the details.
Yes.
Before we will begin, because I know next week is when we will begin.
Yeah, we'll be beginning officially.
But I want to know, when was this book dated, and where, between where and where?
Okay. This book is dated around the 15th century. That is around 1490 BC. 1490, the 15th century. And this is around, the book of Numbers is like 2 years after Exodus. So you can look at
2 years after Exodus.
after they left Egypt, 2 years later. So we are talking about 38 years of experience in the wilderness, in the desert. And actually, I need to mention this, that the book of Numbers, these numbers, from the English, it is from the English translation of the Greek translation of the Old Testament. And this book, in Hebrew, this book, and as you see, it is
like it came from the Greek word?
Yes, from the Greek word,
Oh, yeah, all right.
which means it is numbers in English,
Yes.
but in Hebrew it is called Bemidbar. Bemidbar means in the desert.
In the desert.
Yes.
All right. So it is a Greek word.
It's a Greek
that
word.
meant in the desert.
Yes.
So it
in
was
Hebrew
trans-
it means Bemidbar.
in Hebrew.
But yes, but it means in the desert.
In the desert.
Yes.
And then there was a translation into numbers.
Yes, into numbers
Because
now
of-
in English.
Because of the events that you just described
Yes.
there.
So it's around the 15th century, 1490 BC. Yeah.
1490 BC.
Yes.
Are we still looking at? I want to know.
Yes.
Where, who probably who probably authored this book, and is it evident? Is there, because we have gone through the books,
Yes.
and they have the men of God said it is written by Moses. And we have witnessed quite a lot of events happening, and Moses being the center point of this book, and God, and then
Yes.
with the children of Israel.
Yes.
With the book of Numbers,
Yes.
do we have any tangible evidence that indicates who authored this book?
Okay.
And probably where was it being written? Yes.
Okay. The authorship is derived mostly by Moses. But Bible scholars have said that there were additional editors or scribes who could have been there to maybe help assist Moses in writing this book. So Moses wrote this. Moses wrote this, and if you can read, like the introduction from Genesis, we find that it has a historical background.
Yes.
That Moses recorded. It was inspired, actually. You see, all scripture is inspired by the Spirit.
Yes.
So it is by the Spirit that Moses was able to know what had happened earlier in the creation, and then during the time of the Exodus, and him being the major character, even in Exodus. So we find that most probably he is the author of the book of Numbers,
All right.
which is called the Pentateuch, and also the Torah according to the Jewish.
The Jewish.
Yes.
All right, man of God, maybe because we are looking at this book so that we understand, if you understand who wrote the book,
Yes.
and why is it looking in that structure,
Yes.
it would be easy even for our viewer
Yes.
when we now tell the events of the book. And I wanted to ask you this question archaeologically.
Yes.
Any evidences of this book, because we have just found it written
Yes.
in this era, maybe in soft copies and even in the Bible.
Yes.
But archaeologically, do we have evidence about this book archaeologically? Because like you may find, they say we found the early
Yes.
scribes of this book, and
Yes.
this and this, because we want to tell people, this program helps to tell people that this is real.
Yes.
So I want to ask, archaeologically,
Yes.
Could you talk about this book?
Yeah. Archaeologically, first of all, we've seen there's a connection between Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers, and then in conclusion with the 5 books, Deuteronomy. Now, archaeologically, there are facts. Like when we come to Exodus, there are facts that have shown that Exodus was a real thing. It's not fiction.
Yes.
Exodus has been a real thing. Like in the Red Sea, it has been found that there were, you hear about how the chariots were, the wheels were unlocked.
Yes, yes.
And they were all
swept by
the sea,
yes.
the Red Sea. So it is a proof that what happened in Exodus, as it's been recorded, it's true. And then Bible evidence, it shows that there are scrolls that were found. Some of them, like, they were found in caves. Some of them were found, like when we talk about the Egyptian tombs. Yeah, the Egyptian tombs.
Yes.
Yeah, the Egyptian tombs, you can, there are archaeologists who found the history about, like, of Pharaoh, and all these are evidences to show you that whatever has been written in the Old Testament, it's not fiction. It is not a make-up story. It is a reality. So there were scrolls, dead scrolls. They are called dead scrolls that were found. Yes.
Probably the things that have been dated and written in this book,
yes,
are some of these things still available if someone could go to maybe Egypt or go to the desert, or
yes,
maybe where in the wilderness?
Yes.
Some of these things still in existence, and
yes,
if someone would be able to have an opportunity to travel,
yes,
and just to witness a bit of what was, where this story was coming from, can they really meet some of the things?
Yeah, because if you go to Egypt, because Africa, Egypt is in Africa, it has a rich history. And like the children of Israel in Egypt, we find that they were enslaved and they were given hard labor and they were building pyramids. So the pyramids are an evidence, a proof. The pyramids, ancient pyramids in Egypt, they are a proof that indeed there was something, and they are old. They are old. And now, if you go to Israel, Israel is an evidence of itself. You find that in Israel, there are historical sites,
yes,
that are a proof to show, like, we have Mount Sinai,
yes,
we have, like, the Sinai desert,
yes,
that is a real, it's an evidence. We have the river Jordan, where they crossed, is an evidence.
Interesting.
Yeah,
interesting.
is an evidence. So they are, like, when we talk about the temples, you go to Israel and you find
some of these temples.
Yes, and you find, like, even like the destruction. No, you see, there was the first temple that was constructed, and it was destroyed, and then it was rebuilt. And you remember even in the story whereby the generation that had seen the first temple and the generation that saw the second temple, when comparing the glory of the first temple and the glory of the latter temple, those who had seen the older one wept. But the others who had seen the new one, they were celebrating. Yes. So there are evidences that show that whatever is written in the old, it is real and it is factual.
Thank you so much. And maybe the next question that I would be able to want to know about this book is, what are some of, where does it stand theologically?
Yes.
How is it framed theologically? Because we understand there are different men of God.
Yes.
I know there are those that God has enabled them to go through the Bible school.
Yes.
Like yourself, and have been able to get maybe a different perspective, a little bit from someone who just described this book from layman's point of view.
Yes.
Where does this book stand theologically?
Theologically, this book is a book, the book of Numbers, is a book that connects and correlates with other books of the Bible. Because when you look at the book of Numbers, there are themes that are in that book. And these themes, you find them in Exodus, the same themes like about God's faithfulness. You find it is covered in Exodus, God's faithfulness. It is covered even in Deuteronomy. And you see God proving himself faithful, God keeping covenant, God keeping his promises and fulfilling his promises. So the book of Numbers gives us a glimpse of God, God looking at his people and how he wants to relate with his people, and even to date. I remember when I just got born again,
yes,
and I was preaching. I would preach from the Old Testament, and I had not gone to Bible school by then.
That's why I was asking that question,
yes,
because I know.
I had not gone to Bible school.
Yes.
But they would call me Old Testament preacher. Because I would get my texts from Old Testament and then connect them with New Testament. Because we find Jesus in the Old Testament.
Old Testament.
Jesus represented in Genesis. Jesus represented in Exodus and Leviticus and Numbers. So, like, when we look at some of the symbolisms that are in Numbers, you find the brazen serpent that was erected by Moses when they had sinned against God, and then he was to raise a brazen serpent, and whoever looks at it will not die. He will be healed from that plague. So we find that there is a correlation that is tying up, and actually Numbers is holding in the Pentateuch, it is holding all the five books. Within the five books, it's like the pivot.
Numbers now is
the
center point of the Pentateuch?
Yes.
All right.
It's the center point.
I would want to know why, but later on.
and then you find now it's connecting, it's showing God's faithfulness. It is also showing how God wants people in leadership. Because as we look at the book of Numbers, we find that he was strategically preparing an army to go and take possession of the land.
Yes.
So we find Numbers being very key even to our Christian faith today. We are in a battle. And God was preparing an army for himself.
Yes.
So that his chosen family, that is Israel, would go and be able to possess the land. And we have been promised.
Yes.
We've been promised the kingdom of heaven.
Yes.
The kingdom of God. Eternal life. But there is a battle. And we have to be equipped.
Oh, yes.
Amen.
Wonderful, wonderful man of God.
I
am learning quite a lot of things that you're telling me. You know, if you know, there are things that people sometimes just read through and paraphrase things.
Yes.
But you are putting it very rightfully, and this makes me to ask you a question that is 3 in 1.
Yeah.
We have theological themes.
Yes.
And we have key themes.
Yes.
And let me say global themes.
Yes.
What are some of the key things, theological themes, and maybe themes that we can be able to meet across in our world of today, or the themes that could be addressing the world today?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, for example, I've talked about the faithfulness of God as a theme. In God's faithfulness, we've seen God covenanting with Abraham, and then he continues to covenant, and we've seen he covenanted with the Israelites and gave them the commands. If you look at Leviticus 26 and I think verse 41, he says, these are the laws that he gave to Moses to the children of Israel. And that covers Leviticus chapter 1 up to 26. Yes. So he gives them the commands. And God is faithful. And why was he giving them the commands?
Yes.
He was giving them the commands to help them walk with him rightly. Yes. Nowadays, people do say this, that tunapimiwa hewa.
Wananikazia.
Wananikazia. So when God was giving the commands, sio kukazia. No, it is for their well-being. Yes, and it was for their well-being.
Okay.
And so that they can walk harmoniously.
Right.
So it was for their good. And he because he's a faithful God, you see, what he promised, he was following his word to perform it. He had promised them that there is a promised land. And he wanted to make sure that this will be. And you see, in the wilderness, maybe just because the book of Numbers is in the wilderness.
Yes.
This wilderness has got its significance of its own.
Yes.
As we look at the themes, you see, the wilderness itself, the wilderness is a place of privation. A wilderness is a place of lack. Is a place of, no, you can't, okay, Israel has tried and it has been able to do agriculture, converted a desert into an agricultural place. But you find that in God's faithfulness, though it's a place of privation, lack of food, but you see, God provided. God provided.
So there is a theme of provision.
Yes, there is provision. God provided in the wilderness. And again, in that wilderness, in a desert, there's that hot, scorching heat.
Yes.
But God provided a cloud by day. From the scorching heat.
Yes. A cloud
by day.
Yes.
From the scorching heat. Though a desert is very hot. But God, in his faithfulness, still provided a covering.
You can imagine that in the desert, and I know some of the times in the desert, it's a very open place. The blue skies are always the character in such areas. Man of God, I know very well that there are a lot of ways to describe this book. But I want you to, I want you to have a cup of hot water. I have requested for one. And then when we come back, we continue with this conversation. We are just setting the background for this book. And so far, so good. I'm seeing quite a lot of feedback here. And people are saying, Pastor Paul, praise God, and Brother Cheminingwa, good work. I am eager to understand the book of Numbers from its significance to its importance and how it has been and how it is of importance even to date life. So you see, the people are very much ready. There's another one who's saying, praise God, Brother Cheminingwa. Greetings to man of God, Pastor Paul Mwangi. And I want to ask this question: is the book of Numbers called Numbers because of the census, or it is called Numbers because God was counting people to destroy them, because almost none of them entered apart from the two? So you see, these are concerning questions here. So basically, let's take a short break, and then when we come back, we continue with this conversation. Talk to me. This is the Bible Exposition. We are entering the book of Numbers, and we are just setting the background. With me is the man of God, Pastor Paul Mwangi, who is an associate pastor here at Kingdom Seekers Fellowship, and he is a man of God who has 3 decades of experience in the ministry. You cannot imagine such kind of a significant knowledge, just indulging himself and indulging you through this book. You cannot miss this, because if you miss this, then you will miss a lot, and you will never ever get such an opportunity again. So tell a friend to tell a friend that we are just setting the background before the takeoff. But before then, talk to me through 23814. That is my SMS line number, 0721-105-105. Asking your concerning questions about the background and everything that is concerned about the book of Numbers. My name is Celeste Brigo. Do not go too far. Coming up, the continuation of setting the background for the book of Numbers with Pastor Paul Mwangi. Maji, unajua nimeambiwa hija.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Are you struggling with a subject in high school, or are you looking for opportunities for revision or instances where you're required to get ahead in syllabus? Do you have a student who was absent from school due to sickness, distress, or was immature, or any other situation requiring reteaching? Well, look no further than the ABC Edu, an e-learning platform that is here for you. In this platform, you will find whole topics from Form 1 to Form 4 in video, audio, and text. This content is recorded and can be viewed repeatedly until properly understood. This is a program with the objective to complement learner experience by bridging learning gaps and challenges. This digital platform is designed to deliver educational content and an enriching learning experience targeting secondary school students. It is a subscription service from Rodachem Education Limited. One can register as an individual or in groups. Usikue idle this holiday. Visit our website at www.abzedu.com for more information. For inquiries, contact 0727 080 638 or 0711 762 521. ABZ, the gateway to your child's future. Welcome to ATS Learn and Grow Kindergarten, where every child's adventure begins. At ATS Learn and Grow Kindergarten, we believe in nurturing creativity and curiosity. Our dedicated teachers inspire a love for learning in a warm, welcoming environment.
Yay, good job!
From hands-on activities to imaginative play, your child will explore, discover, and grow. We understand that every child is unique. That is why we focus on individual growth, ensuring each child reaches their full potential. Enroll now for January 2025 intake and give your child the gift of a bright start. ATS Learn and Grow Kindergarten. Spaces are limited, so don't miss out. Visit us at Naka Estate, next to Fancy Gateway Apartments off Naka Primary Road in Nakuru City. Call us on 0715 116 699. ATS Learn and Grow Kindergarten, inspiring young minds, shaping bright futures.
Ho ho ho! Christmas comes early. Finesse Properties yawaletea mega end of year discount sale ya Gilgil Breeze Agum Phase 8. Grab this chance to own a piece of Nakuru County in Gilgil this festive season. Experience unique tranquility and breathtaking panoramic view of Gilgil Breeze, located just 25 minutes drive from Gilgil town via Eburu Road, with amenities like clean water, electricity, and well-graded access roads on site. It is ideal for residential settlement, commercial settlement, holiday homes, Airbnbs, schools. Also good for farming onion, apple, nahas avocados. Very ideal for cattle, goat, and sheep keeping. Tumeshukisha bei. Jishikia plot 50 by 100 na 250-100K only. Pata 1 acre kwa 1 million na 5 acre block kwa 4.9 million only. Lipa mdogo mdogo payment plan available. Title inclusive within 30 days bila delay. Mega title deed issuance incoming. Funga mwaka na title deed mkononi. Proud to have served both local and diaspora client. To book your free Saturday site visit or more information, contact us on 0709 504 504 or visit our offices Nakuru Kenyatta Avenue, Belpa House, Room 3 or Rero Kehunguro, CNM Center, Room 16. Finesse Properties.
Validating your dreams.
Validating your dreams.
Those in search for accommodation in Nairobi City need not to worry. Hemmark Suites Hotel Nairobi, located along Kikorok Road off Koja roundabout, offers one of the best accommodation from standard rooms, twin, deluxe rooms, all the way to executive. Not forgetting our conference and boardroom facilities that have the best ambience. With a good view of Nairobi City from our restaurant on 8th floor, you can enjoy our delicacies prepared by experienced chefs. For you who would like to connect with Almighty, we have a chapel ready for you. Security is a priority to us, and that's why we have measures in place to ensure that you enjoy your stay, and for ease of access to the hotel, we have a dedicated high-speed lift. Find Hemmark Suites Hotel Nairobi at Hemmark Plaza from 4th floor or call us on 0748 618 009 or visit www.hemmaxsuits.com. Hemmax Suits Nairobi, epitome of luxury and class.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
To Salimi. Hello. Welcome back to. All right. Welcome back to the Bible Exposition. My name is Silas Shabirigo. With me is the man of God, Pastor Paul Mwangi. He is the director of KIMS in Kenya here, and he is an associate pastor here at Kingdom Seekers Fellowship. He holds a higher diploma in ministry, and he has been ministering for close to for 30 years. That is 3 decades. You can imagine that. And he is with us in studio today. We are just setting the background of the book of Exodus. So sit back, the book of Numbers, I mean. So sit back, relax, and enjoy, as well as you ask your questions through 23814. 23814, and 23814, by the way, is free of charge. So if you're watching this program and you feel like you need to ask something or address a concern about the topic of today, entering the book of Numbers and setting the background, and maybe you want to know more about this book, you can also ask your questions. You're free, because we are here to have a conversation and make you understand this book in the Holy Book. So make sure that at least you're part and parcel of this kind of program by talking to me. Also, you can WhatsApp me on 0721-105-105, and I'll be able to go through some of your messages as we continue with the conversation. Man of God, yes. We are continuing with the setting up the background, and you are talking about the themes in this particular book. Yes. And you had started with the, I think, theological
God's
faithfulness. Yes. You are looking now. It's about the themes, about godly themes.
Yes.
And then maybe probably you'll continue, and then we see the theological themes, right, and then the key themes that will run the whole book.
Right. Yeah. So I think before the break, I was speaking about God's faithfulness and how He also provided for the children of Israel in the desert. So we said the book of Numbers is all about in the desert, according to the Hebrew, in the desert. So God's faithfulness.
You said that word,
Bemidbar.
Bemidbar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I'm also learning, because I saw Jesus, and then there's another one I cannot remember now. Bemidbar. All right.
Yeah. Yes. So it's about God's faithfulness and provision. Yes. That He, despite the rebellion that the children of Israel had, God still was faithful, and He provided for them. We see in the desert there is lack, but God provided. In the desert there was a scorching heat, but God protected them from the scorching heat by the cloud by day. And then also coming now to the importance of obedience. The importance of obedience is a theme within it. It's the importance of obedience. We see that in the book of Numbers, it's highlighting the consequences of disobedience. And I think you read a question from one of the listeners. Did God count the people to finish? So God here is also showing that the need for obedience, there are consequences for disobedience, and there are blessings because of your obedience. Yes. So they rebelled. God was still faithful. God wanted them to be obedient, but they disobeyed. That's why some of them died in the wilderness. So coming also to speaking now about a theme about God's nature of holiness. God is holy.
Okay.
God
is always
holy. Yes, the nature, that's God's nature.
It's His nature.
Yeah, and that's why in the book of Leviticus, he had the rules, the regulations, and because God is holy, we talk about purity.
Yes.
Holiness and purity are interconnected.
Interconnected.
Yes. So the laws and regulations regarding purity and even worship, because he is the sole, the only one who deserves our worship.
Oh, yes.
So, and that's why in his commands, he said, you should have no other God besides me.
Oh, yes.
And you should not bow to graven images, because he is the only one who is worthy of worship.
Oh, yes.
So that's God is holy. And so in the book of Numbers, he emphasizes on the importance of holiness.
Holiness.
Yes.
All right. Maybe, man of God, but as we continue with the themes,
Yes.
Maybe just for the benefit of our viewer,
Yes.
how do you describe the message that is in this book?
Yes.
Like, what is the message? What is the key message that is in this book? Even as we go through the themes, because I know there is a missile message.
Yes.
That is one.
Yes.
That it must get home.
Yes.
Yes.
The message in this book is about is about God of covenant to his people and his faithfulness to keeping even his promises. So God is faithful to his people and he fulfills his promises. Yes.
So it's about the key message is if you are faithful to me, if you obey me, then I will fulfill my promises.
True.
And there is a question that is coming in my mind.
Yes.
Is this the book that we are witnessing people entering that promised land?
Yes.
Or we expect another story before we see that happening?
Because next to Numbers is the book of Deuteronomy.
Yes.
And Deuteronomy is just like, it's coming back to, now, what did God, as God was walking with his people, what did he covenant with his people? What did God promise his people? What were the conditions that God made with his people? So Deuteronomy is like in Swahili, Deuteronomy is called kumbu kumbu.
So
La Torati.
So ni kukumbushana.
Ni kukumbushana.
Okay.
Ni kumbu kumbu.
So basically this number here in Numbers is where we are witnessing people entering.
Yes, actually this is now, you find, now the book of Numbers concludes at the banks of River Jordan. And the next conquest is Jericho. After crossing, that is now Joshua taking over.
Yes.
And now they are crossing the Jordan.
Yes.
And then the first conquest is Jericho. And then they go to Ai. So they are possessing the land.
Now they have started.
Yes, they are starting to expose.
We will be witnessing the entering and now taking over.
They're taking over.
Yes.
They're taking over and evicting the former occupants.
Okay.
They are entering and they want to occupy the land of promise. It was not vacant. It had been
people. But because it is, why would God do that?
Do what?
It's just a question.
Yes.
Why would God evict certain people to give other people land?
Now,
is it because if you are faithful and then there is another one who is not faithful, he will do away with you if you disobey him and give those who are faithful the ownership, or what is the message? Because we are witnessing that.
Actually, God is sovereign.
Yes.
We have to agree that. God is sovereign.
Oh, yes.
And he sees the end from the beginning. And when God was making the promise to Abraham, he had promised him a land.
A land, yes. In fact, when Abraham was leaving,
Yes.
he told him, go, I will show you
Yes.
where you're going.
Yes. And then you see Abraham's obedience.
It is because of the obedience.
It is because of the
So he
obedience.
sends him to those who are disobeying. Because I was asking that because I wanted to see if that would come, because it has been my thought
Yes.
that every time God encounters hard-headed people,
Yes.
he decides to go and pick those who obey him and give them
Yes.
the land and possession.
Yeah, and there's a place, I can't remember the exact verse, but there's a place whereby it's in the book of Genesis,
Yes.
where God was saying that the sins of the Amorites, the cup of the sins of the Amorites,
Yes.
is not yet full
Full.
for the judgment. So it seems now in this book of Numbers, there is that the sins of the Amorites. It's like now the cup was getting full and full
Now it's
and full,
and now close to overflowing.
close to overflowing, and now judgment will come. And one of the ways that God was judging the people in that land was bringing in the people whom he had called my people to come in and possess the land. And there's this scripture that says that the wealth of the wicked is kept for the righteous. So you find that those who are disobedient, somehow, sometimes, God uses those who are obedient to go and possess and take in. And that's why we've seen the first census, the first census now in Numbers, God was preparing an army. For what? An army to go in and fight and possess the land. And then, due to rebellion and disobedience, there are people who died. And so, there was a need also to go and do another counting, whereby he wanted to know how many are going for battle to go in now and possess the land. And also, in this census, the numbers of the tribes. They wanted to know, and the subdivisions, we'll look at that later. The subdivisions of the land, it was to be done according to numbers. How big is this? Like if we say, how big is this tribe? They get a bigger portion. So according to numbers. Yes, so the subdivision was according to numbers.
All right.
Yes.
There is something that I want to ask that is very evident with so many people.
Yes.
Is this what we are witnessing even into deaths, kind of the violence that we witness? Is it because of the disobedience and the obedience, or is it associated? Because we are looking even right now, there is a war still in that place, and Israelites sometimes are continuing to possess the land.
Yes.
I was just following the international news a few days ago.
Yes.
I do not want to guess, but I know, like the president of Syria had been removed from power, and then there are parts of Syria that has been taken by the Israelites, saying that they would not allow those that have taken power, who are wanaitwa waasi, to control that part of the land. And then we have seen that happening even in Lebanon. We have seen there is that kind of invasion and the retrieve.
Yes.
Are these events just a picture of what used to happen?
Actually, when we come to the wars that are happening in the Middle East, it's all about this promise. This promise of the promised land. Israel and Jerusalem and Israel, it belonged to the people, the children of God, Israel. And there has been contention, there has been war. And but we also see again, there was that strife that came up between Isaac and Ishmael. Yes, you see, the child of promise. But Abraham compromised and then
got another one.
Yes. So the battle is still there, is still on. And part of the troubles that we have today is because of disobedience and rebellion. There are people who are suffering because of disobedience and rebellion against God. Now, even the children of Israel themselves, they suffered due to their rebellion and to their disobedience. Yes.
Okay, man of God, I am sorry, I've taken you by storm with so many questions.
No problem. They are so good. I know our viewers are benefiting from this.
I want to allow you, because I know you also prepared a few notes. Before I want to take a break from asking you questions. Maybe you think there is something important our viewers should be able to understand about this book of Exodus. Maybe you can address them, because I know you prepared a few of the things that you think are important for our viewers to understand about this book.
Okay. Yes. Maybe what I can just try to bring to my viewers, our viewers' attention, is the themes are very important in this book of Numbers, because we find progressively the children of Israel walked through the wilderness or the desert. And there is a way that God wanted them to relate with him. They were not meant to die in the wilderness. God had promised that they would enter the promised land. But due to disobedience and disobedience and rebellion, this caused most of them to die. So they did not enter the promised land. We see this happening to Moses. Moses was to enter the promised land. But he did not obey the instructions of God. And he suffered. And he did not enter he saw, but he did not enter. So,
and why, just there, let me not allow that to go away.
Yes.
Because I love questions.
Yes.
I'm just a curious person. God was speaking to Moses, and we see that even in the texts.
Yes.
Like a friend.
Yes.
This ni beshte yangu. Ni nini alimnyima, ni nini ilifanya akasema Musa utaenda penye unaenda? Why? Man of God, why? Would someone who was so close to God that he could see God, he almost saw God passing, but because of the sinful nature he was born in, he was not able to see the promised land?
Yes. One of the things that comes up very clearly is that he had issues with anger. Yeah, and even due to anger, he spoke rudely to God. He addressed God like an equal.
Hiyo ndio ilikuwa shida. Mungu aliona huyu.
So
anadithreaten huyu.
Yes. And
so hasira si kitu mzuri. Saa ingine Mungu anaweza kusema kwa sababu tu ya hasira na kupenda, lakini kwa sababu ya hasira you are not going to get some of the things that you would celebrate in my glory.
Yeah. Swahili alisema hasira hasara.
Hasira hasara.
Alienda hasara ya kutoingia nchi ya ahadi.
Yes.
Kwa hivyo unajua aliagizwa anene kwa mwamba.
Ndio.
Lakini aliucharaza. Alicharaza mwamba.
Mnanisumbua.
Mnanisumbua. Mnataka niwape maji. Toa.
So he had anger issues. So that's one
he
of the
had
reasons.
anger issues. But sometimes, leading, because another theme in the book of Numbers is about leadership. Because we find that even he's being told now that Joshua now coming to take over, he's being told, now Joshua, now Moses my servant is dead. So prepare yourself to take over. So it's about leadership. And there were, even let me not deviate. Coming back now to your question about Moses.
Yes.
Moses had weaknesses, his own weaknesses. And some of those weaknesses are the ones that hindered him even to get into the promised land.
Do some people have those weaknesses to date?
Yes.
And
even servants of God. Men of God.
And is that the reason why some of them are not witnessing some of the things?
Yeah. Yeah, that could be the reason.
Okay.
Yes.
Man of God.
Yes.
The book of Numbers is one of the books that is the second last book.
Yes.
And then we get into Deuteronomy.
Yes.
This book of Numbers
yes.
has been written by, as you've said, Moses.
Moses, yes.
And this book has quite a lot in it.
Yes.
And the way you've said, it has several kind of themes in it. There are so many people who, when you start reading that book from the word go, it is census.
Yes.
You know, and someone could say, how do, because there are many people who fear preaching from the top of the book.
Yes.
Maybe they pick some of the texts of this book. Someone can ask himself or herself,
yes,
how do I read this book with to understand and be able to interpret it? Because it's very rare.
Yeah.
It is a complicated book in a way that when you see, it is not like Genesis 1:1.
Yes.
It's like not John 1:1. It is not like maybe Revelation 1:1. It's very easy. Those are some of the texts you easily meet them. So there was in the beginning there was Word, and the Word was with God, and then you get into John, and then you get into other books. From the first chapter, there is a very huge communication, but this one is a communication about something that, if someone reads, anaweza kosa kuelewa. How do someone, if you want to understand this book, how do you read it?
Okay. I was looking at the book of Exodus, and I was looking at the book of Leviticus and Numbers, and if you look at how Numbers begins, it begins, some versions begin with, and God spoke to Moses, or God commanded. And then another version says, now God spoke to Moses. So it means there is a connection, a link between the previous book. So it's a connection with Leviticus. And then Leviticus is also connected with Exodus. So for you to understand better Numbers, you need to understand what was said in Leviticus. Like they are the covenants, they are the laws, the regulations, the priestly duties, the way of worship that has been mentioned in the book of Leviticus. So now coming to Numbers, we find that the chapter 1, it's connected with the preparation. It begins with preparation. And here they are in Mount Sinai. At Mount Sinai, God gives the covenants to Moses, and then they are preparing. The census that begins there is a census to begin now to move. So it's a census of war, of men of war, warriors that would go for battle because they are about to go and enter and possess the land. So for you to understand better, we find that the book is divided. Perhaps you could look at that we have three major divisions. Three major divisions.
So those are the subdivisions, the major subdivisions in this book?
Yes. So like there is a preparation for leaving Mount Sinai, which covers chapter 1 up to chapter 10. So chapter 1 up to chapter 10, verse 10, it covers the preparation for leaving Mount Sinai. And this, in this preparation, there are key elements, and we've said there is the census, that was the arrangement of the camp. There were duties that were given to the Levites, and the instructions for the priestly service, and then the those who were set apart to offer services to God because they were ministering, unlike today. You see, unlike today, we see in the Old Testament, priests were going on behalf. But today we've been made kings and priests, whereby we can go before the Lord. By that time, because they were being prepared, so the priests were set apart to lead the people of God through the wilderness, and then they enter into the promised land. So there was then the wilderness.
So you said the first one is
the preparation to leave Mount Sinai.
Okay.
And then they take now the journey for like, it took a period of 38 years. 38 years.
In between Numbers, just in the Numbers, or
within Numbers?
Within Numbers.
Yes, that was 2 years. It was, if you read Numbers 1, verse 1, it says, when God was speaking to them, to Moses, it was the first day, the second month, the second year after they had left Egypt. Yes. So the first day, the second month, the second year.
So it is like only
2 years had elapsed.
2 years had elapsed.
Yes.
So the 38 years are
38 years are within Numbers.
Let me ask you, man of God. I've looked at that map.
Yes.
Why? Why? 38 years?
Yes.
That distance is too short. I see these days people travel like 1 minute here, 1 minute, 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers.
Yes. The reason.
Kwa nini hiyo mzunguko hivi? 38 years.
Yes.
God wanted these people to know He is God.
Yeah. Actually, the wilderness is a place of testing. So there was a lot of Egypt in them. And
walikuwa bado na
Umisiri. Umisiri lazima ungetolewa. Umisiri ungetolewa.
You remind me of a quote my father normally tells me.
Yes.
That unaweza kutoa mtu msituni, lakini msituni bado
ubaki ndani. Ama wengine wanasema unaweza toa mtu kwa gishagi, umlete town, city, lakini ugishagi bado uko ndani.
So lazima Umisri ungewatoka.
Lazima Misri ungewatoka. You see, even when they were crossing Red Sea, and they saw the army pursuing, they murmured against Moses. Why did you brought us out of Egypt for us to come and die here in the desert? And then you find also from the benefits and the proceeds they got from Egypt. You remember they got favor before the Egyptians. They got gold, and with the gold they made a calf.
I remember that story.
Yes.
And when Moses came from up, he came so
Yes,
angry.
yes.
Now I get to know why Moses, he said he had anger issues. He threw the taps down. And then he was like, and alisanya alichukua hizo nini na
grinded it.
Akamwaga kwa maji na akawafanya wakunywe.
Yes. Anger issues.
Yes.
So we find there was their disobedience, their rebellion. God wanted to deal with that, within that journey. Yes. And also, again, you see, God, there's a place where God was saying that the land is too huge for them. So he wanted them to go and occupy the land little by little. Little by little. So the land, there was need for preparation. So the wilderness was removing part of the Egyptian mentality from them. Yes.
But man of God, nipe hiyo, leta usiogope. Huyu ni mzalishaji wa kipindi. Sawa. So, wow. Man of God,
yes.
Because I needed this because of feedback.
Yes.
And man of God, is this the reason why kulikuwa na census? And there is census to date. Hapa ndio ilizaliwa?
Census.
Yes, because tunaona census in many nations these days there is the counting of people.
Yeah.
Here in Kenya they do it after every 10 years. Is this
Yes.
the root cause?
Okay, we see the second census in the book of Numbers. We said God wanted Moses to know how many young warriors they have to go for battle, now to go and possess in the land.
Yes.
And secondly,
Yes.
he also wanted them to have numbers
Yes.
according to tribes. So like you find the tribe of Reuben, all the tribes listed,
Yes.
except the tribe of Levi, which was not numbered.
Yes.
And the reason it was not numbered, they were not to go for battle.
Yes.
Their work was priestly duties. They were not to go for battle. But we find that the others were men of war. So they had to be numbered to go and fight the battle. But this second census was also meant
Yes.
to be able to articulate the number of people as per tribe, so that they would know this tribe would be given such a portion of land. This tribe would be given such a portion of land, depending with the numbers. The higher the number, the bigger the portion.
The portion.
Yes.
All right. So basically, what is happening even today?
Yes.
Is basically
It is for you see statistics.
Yes.
The census are able to tell the nation, like in Kenya, the census is done so that we can be able, like for instance, there is a time we've been saying Kenya's population is around 45 million, and then it has gone. Now we are talking about 50 million. So how do you be able to tell the population? It is through census, and you see even with a devolved government, you'd be able to know, like you see how they allocate funds. The politics part of it.
Yes.
They were talking about 1 shilling,
one man, one
one
vote.
man, one vote.
Yes, yes,
1
I know.
shilling,
Yeah.
something like that.
So
it's just the same thing. Yeah.
Man of God, as we conclude setting up the background for this book, I would want you to maybe give us.
Yes.
You've said there are 4 subdivisions. You've just mentioned one.
Yeah.
You will mention, because we have like 3 minutes.
Yes.
You'd mention the other 3.
Yeah, the other
going through, and then you can give us the outline of this book, and then we can. I think we would have. Unless otherwise there is a concern that would rise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've mentioned about the preparation of Living Sinai, and they were organized as an army, and then secondly there was the part of their wandering. So there was the wandering in the wilderness. It's like, in the desert. You don't have a definite clear path or way.
Yeah.
But thank God that by day there was the pillar of cloud.
clouds.
By night there was the pillar of fire. And wherever the cloud would stop, they would come and stop. The pillar of fire, as it moved, they would go with it. So they wandered in the wilderness from chapter 10 up to chapter 20. So there's that wandering. They were going round, round, and round. So we find then at Meribah, that's where God also made a covenant with them. And we'll be looking later on, even where we saw how they at Meribah, they murmured against God, and God was angry with them, and they were struck, and many of them died also. And then there was the latter part of, now beginning from chapter 20, the journey from Transjordan and preparation for Canaan now. And this is where we found the second census.
The second census.
Yeah, so there's the Transjordan and the preparation to go in and possess the land.
And then,
so here we find there are certain people who died.
yes.
like we find the death of Aaron. We find, this is where also I think it was mentioned in the book of Exodus about Balaam.
Balaam saga.
Yes, the Balaam saga and Barak. Yeah, so this is where we also find them now preparing the tribes and how they will go in and possess the land, and then and then entering the promised land.
Entering the promised land.
Yes.
So, what is the outlook of this book? What is the outline of this book? Because I know that would be our guidance of working on it and making sure that at least we know how is it outletted, or how is it planned, or how is it structured. Let me call it a structure. How is this book structured? Yeah,
the structure with the three subdivisions, the three major subdivisions. They are coming up to around 7 of them, but we can summarize them into three. But whereby maybe like looking now at the preparation, so the preparation of army, and then after the preparation, then we find the people now going through the wilderness, and through the wilderness we find the rebellion, the disobedience, and people dying in the wilderness, and then we find out the final preparation as they prepare to go by tribe, entering to possess in the land. Yes. So
that is the outlook of the book as we will walk through.
Yes.
And maybe, man of God, with this book of Numbers, where is it pointing us to? Well, let me say, where is this book pointing us to?
Yes.
And what is its role in the entire Bible?
Okay.
Yes.
Looking at this book, you'll find that this book covers quite a number of symbolisms. And one of the symbolisms, I think, beginning with the tabernacle. The tabernacle of Moses, whereby God precisely gave Moses instructions. The tabernacle, which meant is a place of meeting, the tent of meeting, whereby God wanted to be in the midst of his people. And John chapter 1 talks about, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and this Word became flesh, and it tabernacled amongst men. Now, this tabernacle, symbolic of God's presence in the midst of his people. And the tabernacle entails quite a number of symbolism, and a lot of it speaking about Christ himself, God in coming in and inhabiting us, because God was looking for a place where he could come and dwell. But he found he wasn't pleased with temples made out of the hands of men. The tent was made, the tabernacle was made, but that did not please God until Jesus Christ came, and now we are temples of the living God. So we find also in the book of Numbers, looking at the symbolisms, we also find the brazen serpent. Speaking of Christ again, Christ was lifted up on the cross, and whoever calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. So we see the symbolism of in the book of Numbers. So we find the correlation of these other 4 other books, and then also connecting with other books in the Bible, like coming now to like talk of leadership, come to Judges. Okay, Joshua takes over, so the book of Joshua, the book of Judges. And it's out of rebellion. Wherever the Israelites sinned against God, the other tribes, like the Amorites, like the Amorites, came in and tormented them, but God would raise a judge. So it talks about leadership, and then when we talk about 1st and 2nd Samuel, we talk about 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Kings, we talk about leadership, all through. So in this book of Numbers, we find that it is helpful to us, even as per how we relate with God, how we are walking with God. Because we see, wherever Israelites messed with God, it didn't go well with them.
Oh yes, man of God, I know. We have just started off.
Yes.
And I know we have several weeks of covering this. We have several Mondays until we wind up this, and I am very happy.
Yeah.
You know, breaking the ice of the cake is, you know, setting a background of a book needs a lot of energy, mind energy, because you need to be factual, you need to be strong, you need to be careful, because people, this is the knowledge that people want, and I can tell you, if it were me, with the questions that I've asked you, but you've really set a good background for this book. And I know we don't have time. Time has elapsed on our side. But man of God, there is one thing that I want to, just one thing that you can say maybe in 30 seconds.
Yes.
We have seen previous books having a greater symbolism about and pointing us a greater symbolism of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
At the end of the entirety of the context of the book.
Yes.
I don't know if this one we are going to meet more of as some kind of symbolism that points us or gives us a hint of Jesus Christ.
Okay. Yeah, just as I have just said about the tabernacle, it's been mentioned, and the giving of the covenants, and the wandering of the children of Israel in the wilderness, and being obedient, looking unto God, walking faithfully with God. There is always a promise of the blessings of God. And they are about to enter the promised land. So in the book of Numbers, it's a preparation to see the fulfillment of the promises of God.
Oh yes, man of God. Thank you so much for having time with us. I know you are a passionate man about kids.
Yes.
And there's quite a lot that you are doing.
Yes.
You have done this across the world. You've walked the continent and just to do quite a lot.
Yes.
As we have just informed our viewer. Maybe someone is saying this is the right person that maybe I can start to interact and know more about maybe kids, and also maybe more questions. Sometimes we have little time on air, but people can continue to reach out to you and ask even you personal questions and more of hard questions. Maybe you can give your number to our viewer as you set up a conclusion of today's conversation.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm passionate about children and children's ministry, simply because Apostle Kimani, I would quote him, he says that the enemy does not fight success, he fights potential. So the enemy knows the potential in a child, and he would want to fight that potential. He would want to destroy the destiny of that child. So he wants to begin from childhood. And so I know before he has done that, this child needs to be taught God's word. Parents need to know this, that children are a gift from God, and they are just stewards. They are supposed to bring them up in the way of the Lord. And actually the Bible promises, if you do that, they will not depart from the way.
Depart from it.
Yes. So now, I would want to give my number.
All right.
And my number is 0721 61 5162. I repeat again.
Yes.
0721 61 5162. You can reach me.
Thank you so much, man of God. Na wakupigia masaa ya kazi.
masaa ya kazi.
Yes, usiku hapana.
Na sio
kila saa kwa sababu uko busy. But masaa ya kazi ni sawa.
Yes.
Wakufikie, and then they can ask you the hard questions. Thank you so much, man of God.
Thank you
for
so
coming
much.
through. Looking forward now to starting the book of Numbers officially next Monday.
Next Monday.
And I know we will be knowing how many weeks we will be taking through this book. Najua niliwaahidi ya kwamba nitawapatia zawadi, but I didn't get the names. I will be inquiring wale ambao waliweza kushinda. I want to be very genuine so that niweze kuwafikia, and we give you the gifts. And I also want to inquire quite a number of things. Nijue namba ziko ama ziko wapi, ama kuna watu hawakujibu, so that we tuende kwa pamoja, ama ninaweza waweka pamoja na nipatie watu 6 the zawadi, because I know we had asked questions last week with Pastor Njenga, and I know some of you, niliona kuna mwenye alikuwa amejibu, but basically on Facebook is very difficult because siwezi kupata namba yako. So if you remember the questions, I'm not even going to ask them right now. There are people who answered, so I'm going to look into those people who answered, and then if you answered correctly, I'm going to give you the rewards that come every end of the book, of the holy books. And we just finished Exodus, we just finished Leviticus, now we're getting into Numbers. I don't know if there is mwelekezi, sijui kama kuna nini hiyo inaitwa. Okay. All right. So tafadhali nataka niseme hivi mtazamaji, thank you so much for being part and parcel of this Bible exposition. With me has been with the man of God, Pastor Paul Mwangi, who is an associate pastor here at Kingdom Seekers Fellowship, and he has an experience of 3 decades. So I promise you, blaze yourself, or they say braze, ni braze ama ni blaze?
Braze.
Ni braze. Yeah. Nakuuliza wewe Martin. Ni braze ama ni blaze?
Brace.
Thank you. So brace yourself, because what is coming is so huge and sweet for you. You're going to not miss this. Tell a friend to tell a friend that we have started the book of Numbers. I want to tell you that natoka hapa studio, but ninawapenda sana. Merry Christmas. I know we have few days. Please be careful, share with people, and kwanza kukua careful. Shetani, these are times that the devil can destroy anybody's destiny, and this is the time that you are supposed to be very to be very careful. Usikuwe extravagant, na usaidie, share with people. Otherwise, mimi nataka kutoka hapa studioni, but I know we will be meeting inside Family Garage on MBCI radio starting 11 in the PM until 1 in the AM. But I want to tell you, do not go too far, because Financial Monday is coming. Brother Paul Kagi will be here with with Mr. Githinji. Your money and God. Do not go too far, but I love you so much. Thank you so much. Bila wewe, MBCI is not MBCI TV, and Bible Exposition is never Bible Exposition. Till then, goodbye, good luck, and God bless you. I love you.